Ladies and gentlemen, we don't call him the energy warrior for nothing, do we? Well, he told me to take my jacket off. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I brought my kerchief because I sweat freely. I'm not sweating so much because it's warm. I'm a little hot under the collar this morning, and I'm going to diverge from the remarks I planned to give by sharing a little story that took place just on the ride over here. You know, I've been talking a lot about keeping Tennessee safe, how we keep Tennessee strong by keeping Tennessee safe. And obviously, the application of new technologies to existing energy resources is a no-brainer. I mean, it's what has been done here in spades. We were here just a little over a year ago, as Pat and others said, when they launched this station and kicked off this program. And you really are not only the warrior, but the leader in this. You've put Tennessee really on the map. See the shining sea. It's absolutely perfect that it's all about Tennessee. So you're on your way to Washington, D.C. So am I. Not like some of these congressional candidates. I don't think we have any of them here. Scott Golden is here holding down the fort for our Congressman, Stephen Fincher, and we appreciate that, Scott. But he's going to step down, Stephen Fincher is, and got a bunch of folks running. And I wish they were here to hear what happened to old Senator Norris this morning, because I'm on my way to Washington tomorrow to testify before a Senate, not a House, but the Senate Energy and Environment Committee. Actually, it's the subcommittee that deals with unfunded mandates. Where's my commissioner? We were talking about the state doing this to local government. We're going to talk about unfunded mandates and runaway regulation, as I call it, regulation without representation, and the choking effect that that has on innovation like this. What we're here celebrating today, what makes this country great. And we weren't 10 minutes from this location, and I have the testimony that I'm going to give tomorrow. See, they're shooting at me. Yeah, we can take it. Keep Tennessee safe, baby. And I had, as the federal government requires, I had turned in my testimony in advance, and they'd approved it. I thought, yay, put a lot of effort into that. Worked with Commissioner Bob Martineau, in fact, on some of the good work that the state of Tennessee has been able to do with this runaway freight train of regulatory overreach in Washington, and I mentioned that a little bit in my comments. And I also mentioned how some of the dysfunction in D.C., particularly at EPA and at the Internal Revenue Service, really puts innovation like this at a disadvantage. Well, they approved it. They approved it. And I started off, so what I'm going to do is take you through the wormhole, if you'll let me do this, just a little bit. Sure. I'm cheating. Because tomorrow at 2:30 I was going to give this testimony, and now I'm not, because they called this morning to say that it was a little too hot. I talked about the Clean Power Plan tomorrow at 2:30, and I've said clean power has already cost thousands of jobs as the war on coal continues. They closed the CSX rail facility over in Irwin, Tennessee, Upper East. It's affecting barge traffic on the Mississippi, down some 30%. I said the federal government's focus upon alternative energy rather than alternative technologies applied to existing energy resources is unwise. Tomorrow, I would have said yesterday, there's the wormhole, yesterday, in the West Tennessee town of Trenton, Gibson County, Tennessee, a convoy of vehicles powered by compressed natural gas stopped en route from Los Angeles to Washington, D.C. They're demonstrating the advantages of CNG-powered vehicles and the availability of all the facilities to fuel them. But the federal government discriminates against this technology in a number of ways. The federal government continues to play an active role in promoting alternative fuels, in hopes of enhancing America's energy and national security. Unfortunately, rather than provide equivalent incentives among all different alternative fuel vehicles, the federal government has tilted policy towards electric vehicles, thereby disadvantaging all other technologies and creating an uneven playing field. And then I got more specific, and I want you to hear it because they won't. The root of this inequity can be found in the Internal Revenue Code, Section 30D, which was created by the Energy Improvement and Extension Act of 2008. Bear with me. It was amended in the stimulus bill in 2009. The Internal Revenue Code provides up to $7,500 tax credits to consumers who purchase a qualifying electric vehicle. This credit remains in place until manufacturers produce and sell 200,000 qualified vehicles in the United States, but no similar credit exists for natural gas vehicles or any other alternative fuel vehicle. I know I'm down in the weeds, but I'm testifying tomorrow at 2:30 in front of a Senate subcommittee that invited me to come and tell them something of substance about the real people, the people of West Tennessee, the people of CNG. I gave them another example, and I won't give you as much detail, but another example is the unfair treatment of dual-fueled vehicles, because they only treat natural gas vehicles, NGVs, as dedicated gas vehicles. Well, they called this morning and said they don't want me to say that. Might be a little too controversial.
Say it anyway.
Yeah, I'm saying it now, and you're hearing it here first. Folks, Pat mentioned this is the 72nd anniversary of D-Day. You mentioned Memorial Day. We're still in what I call Statehood Week. It was 220 years ago on June the 1st that the state of Tennessee became the 16th state in the Union. You know who approved that? You won't believe it, a lot of people don't. It was President George Washington. He signed the act that admitted our state to the Union. We were 16th in the Union, but we're number one today in so many ways. We're the best state in the nation for business development. We're the best when it comes to debt because we don't have any. We have the lowest debt per capita of any state in the nation. I could go on and on. Even Thomas Jefferson said, when we were brought into the Union, he looked at our very Constitution, the one Andy Holt and I are always railing about enforcing, reminding you to read it. Thomas Jefferson looked at our Constitution and he said, and I quote, "It is the least imperfect and the most Republican of any of the states." That's the Constitution we're living under today. That's the Constitution that gives us the freedom to keep Tennessee safe, by keeping Tennessee strong, by innovating this way. A lot of folks don't realize Curtis Halford, Andy Holt, Deborah Moody, and I, this year, the governor signed it into law not 3 weeks ago, probably 2, a new bill that gives natural gas, NGVs, the same treatment under our sales tax as fossil fuel, as gasoline-powered vehicles. We did that this year. We've been working on alternative fueled vehicles, natural gas vehicles, for several years now. And it's the freedoms we've got that make it possible for us to do that. So I'll go to Washington tomorrow. I'll be there a few days before you arrive. I hope you will take this message with you as you proceed and maximize the metaphor, if you will, because the federal government does not want to hear what we have to say. And you know what? In our republic, that's okay, because we give the federal government its rights. The 10th Amendment says we're in charge, not them. And if they don't want to hear it, that's their problem, not ours. Thank you, and God bless you.